Hey, so since we have like a year and a half until the next Forza game comes out, since they kind of hinted at a November 2026 release, I just wanted to make a wishlist video for what I hope to see in the next game. And just to start off with, I'm not going to be saying I hope the map is here or I hope these cars are added. I think at this point we need to encourage the devs to look at the fundamentals of the game and not just basically blankly say Japan or adding these cars are going to just fix the game. Because, for instance, imagine for a second if Horizon 5 was based in Japan instead of Mexico. It would have probably been about the same size map overall. It would have had 5 square blocks of a Tokyo-like city, one mountain road that would have been as wide as I-95, like the volcano we have now, and the rest of the map would have just been flat rice fields instead of the grasslands and crop fields that we currently have in Mexico. And before anyone comments saying, oh, that's because Mexico is flat, they wouldn't have done that to Japan. Yes, they would have. Mexico is full of hills and small mountainous regions. They just made the map flat and open for the Eliminator. It would have had the same effect on Japan or wherever they based Horizon 5. So to start off with cars, and again, like the map, they could add every car you and I could ever want. It's not going to fix the problem that the current cars have, and new ones would have as a result. So to start off with, cars in this game pretty much have no customization outside of a handful of them. So what I would like to see is just all the cars getting basic customization, like giving us the option to adjust Forza arrows similar to how Gran Turismo lets you adjust the height, width, and have different end plates. And they could also expand upon this idea by giving us different mounting options, like we could have chassis mounted wings, ones that are mounted to the C-pillar, or even just let all cars have a ducktail spoiler just so it doesn't look like they directly copy-pasted what Gran Turismo has. Another thing Gran Turismo has that I like is on pretty much every single street car, you can add arches or a small wide body kit to just about every single street car. This would be so huge for the majority of cars that are known for their tunability and customization, but in Forza have absolutely none. Also, another thing Gran Turismo does that I like is they let you put every single OEM color on any car you want. I think that adding that to Horizon would be huge. And also, if they could expand upon the paint layers option they have, so more decals on cars just don't disappear whenever you change the color of the car. Also, for decals and making your own paint jobs, can we use third-party software already and not have the chance of getting banned? A lot of games have this feature already, and it would be a massive update for everybody in the community. Now onto the things I hope they fix, because in Horizon 5, not every single part is available on every single car. Like for instance, on most trucks you can't put drift suspension or street tire compounds, but on GT3 and GT1 race cars, you could put drift suspension and off-road tires on them. Also, track width isn't available on every single car. Even some cars dating back to Horizon 4 still don't have track width, even though that was the feature introduced in that game. Then when it comes to retrofitting parts, they need to do a better job at this, because a lot of cars now, even after adding the drift transmission, you still can't put it on a lot of cars unless you all-wheel drive swap it. And also the bigger sidewall tires are still not available on a lot of the muscle cars. Then when it comes to engine swaps, I want to see more engines available on a lot more cars, because there are still a lot of muscle cars that only have the LS as the only V8 swap, even though there's a lot of muscle cars in the game that have the Hellcat Hemi, the 5.2 Voodoo, and multiple racing V8s as an option. Also, when it comes to retrofitting parts, engine swaps are also a thing that they can retrofit better, because, for instance, the Porsche Taycan has the Rimac Nevera power plant as a swap, while the normal sedan version and the Audi e-tron don't. I would also like to see them add a sound menu similar to what Need for Speed has, except they could also expand upon this too. Like imagine we could change what supercharger whine our cars have, blow-off valves, how bassy the anti-lag sounds. You can even have one for the transmission, so if you're driving around in a street car, you don't have any gear whine, like you have a sequential gearbox. And speaking of menus, ever since they added launch control and anti-lag to Forza Horizon 5, I wish they added a menu to adjust launch control manually, because most cars in the game bog at the start of races, and launch control right now is slower for most cars than just launching normally. So seeing something like a boost by gear system and just the ability to adjust what RPM the car launches at no matter what would be super sick. Or they could even add the option for how much traction control and ABS you would like at which gear. Then when it comes to car performance, I hope they adjust the amount of horsepower each car can make, because I still find it stupid that ever since Horizon 3, the Audi R8 can only make 900 horsepower, while pretty much every Huracan can make above 1200 horsepower with the same exact drivetrain. And in general, just bump up all the numbers all around, because most motors in the game fully built have the same horsepower rating as simple bolt-on builds. And on top of performance being updated, I hope we get a better PI system, because from what I've been told, all PI is calculated on the base game's road racing circuits, so that means the PI for your rally cars and cross-country trucks is calculated on a racing circuit. Hopefully in the next game, each racing type can have its own PI calculator for cross-country, rally, maybe even drag racing. Or maybe they could expand upon their PI system and have a new calculator for drift cars where the PI is based on power to weight ratio and the tire width and compound you're using, since you don't really race a drift car. And maybe they can even give them their own classes, like for drift cars you could have a D1, a D2, and a D3. Then when it comes to car models in general, I want to see detail return to all of them. Like we used to have shifting and handbrake animations in every single car. The paddles in DCT cars used to move when you went up and down gears. Rear grills on mid-engine cars used to show detailed engine bays in the older games. And also just update as many car models as you can, because we still have some from the original Motorsport, and they just stick out like sore thumbs at this point. Also, you guys need to add more convertibles that actually work in the open world, because a lot of the convertibles that don't work right now, you can take the top off in Forza Vista, but you can't take it off when free driving. This is so blatant because somebody even made a mod for it. So Playground Games really doesn't have an excuse to not add more convertibles in the next game. Also, can we get rid of the ugly UK license plate? That yellow eyesore should have just been left in Horizon 4. Then when it comes to acquiring the cars, I do not want to see any more unbuyable cars. Once you unlock a one-off car, like say from an Accolade, you should just be able to buy it out of the auto show at that point. And when it comes to the festival playlist, if you want to keep that going, you can at least make the backstage pass come in a lot sooner than when the game's over and at the end of its life. Or just make the cars buyable in the auto show like half a year after they come out. Because at this point, the randomized rarity of these cars and the drip feed is just downright killing the game. Also, I'd like to see them try and keep as many cars as possible and not just get rid of them for, the new version of it. Because when you look back to it, for example, the one that really annoys me the most, we had the 5th gen Camaro ZL1 in both Horizon 1 and 2. That car then got replaced going into Horizon 3 by the 6th gen SS. That car then got replaced into Horizon 4 by the 6th gen ZL1. Why can't we have all of them? If anyone can afford these licenses, it's definitely a game supported by Microsoft. Also, when it comes to viewing your cars in the menu, can we have more options other than just the favorites tab? And not just default named ones. Can we have ones that we can name so we can organize the cars and categorize them any way we want to? But then when it comes to physics, I would like to see steering get looked at this time around, because when you're on the Rally DLC map, you really start to notice that when your car is going above 20 miles an hour, your character will not turn the wheel as sharp as they can, even though you're on a banked sharp corner, where you could just crank the wheel and get the car to rotate so quickly. It's really noticeable on a tight technical map. And also, if they could update the trucks to not get stuck and push small rocks and sticks around, if they could just roll over them like they should, that would also be pretty nice. Alright, so first off, when it comes to the map, don't fuck it up for the Eliminator again and make it a flat open circle. In fact, can we just get rid of the Eliminator and hide and seek in general? Anyway, I don't care if the map gets bigger in the next game. I just want it to feel more detailed and dense, because at this point it feels like Horizon 5's map is just very open no matter where you are. You can pretty much see halfway across the map, even when you're not on top of the volcano. Also, I want to see smaller roads and more road diversity in general. Like, we only got one technical road in all of Forza Horizon 5's space map, being the volcano, and that road feels like it's about as wide as I-95. we need like half the map to be tight technical roads like the ones that we have in the Rally DLC, and maybe even make a bigger highway that loops around the entire map instead of just being a point-to-point straight line like the ones that we've always had in every single Horizon game. Also, I would like to see seasons hit like a truck. Like, I want snow that makes even rally cars nearly useless when it comes to cross-country races. In fact, I want some parts to have such deep snow that even a Unimog struggles to get through it. Seasons in this game did absolutely nothing, and then when it comes to Horizon 4, they felt more visual than impactful with gameplay. And also, I would love to finally see the DLC maps actually connect to the main map for ease of access, instead of being their own separate map. Also, just a little small thing, I would also like to be able to take props out, like the PR stun flags and stuff like that. And on top of that, let me completely clear up my HUD of anything other than like the minimap and speedometer. So when it comes to the campaign, really I could take or leave the story if I'm being honest. What I want there to be though, is an actual sense of progression. Because so far for the last 3 games, we've pretty much started out at the top. I just want some smug prick to stomp out after a difficult journey from the bottom all the way to the top. And also stop making the whole story so child-friendly at this point. Nowadays, it probably even annoys them with the whole, "Let's all be friendos, buckaroos, we're a happy festival." Nobody likes that. Also, we need more voices for our characters. Like, why the fuck are we all British? In North America? Anyway, when it comes to the campaign, I liked how in Horizon 5 we could use any car we wanted. I would just like to see PI restrictions similar to how the Hot Wheels DLC did it, and possibly make only a couple races have themes, like in Horizon 1. Also, if we could retune the drivatars to not be 1,000-ton chicanes, that would also be pretty cool, because the second you and a friend try to race them, they just spaz out because they don't know where the hell you are. Also, when it comes to progression, I would like to see the game just be more difficult overall, because at this point, after you complete the first 5 races, you have like guaranteed $1 million and multiple hypercars. I want the game to actually feel like I earned the cars and the stuff I get, not just throw it at me like some cheap mobile game, because at this point it feels like it takes like 10 XP to get a wheel spin. So to start with, we definitely need better lobbies in the next game. The whole always online and you only are able to see 12 of the 72 players in the lobby is the worst change they did going from Horizon 3 to 4. It completely ruined all social interactions in the open world, because most people you see in Horizon 5 are either doing their own thing, AFK, or just aren't interested in anything anyone's doing. However, every once in a blue moon you will find that one player or group of people who are actually there to socialize and play with others, and that's when the game is at its most enjoyable. So I'd like to see at the minimum the game just default loading you in the single player, so you have to go into a menu to select to be in an online session. So at least you know if you see somebody in a lobby, you know to at least some degree they want to socialize. Hopefully. Also, stop making the lobby sizes bigger than the amount of players you can actually see at one time. I don't feel like I need to explain why that's just stupid. And also on top of the servers, I feel like you guys should, instead of doing what you did in Horizon 4 and 5, launching the games completely broken, I feel like it would be a nice change to have the games launch in a functioning state. It would be a nice change of pace. Also, something that we've been asking for since Horizon 4 came out is the ability to have private lobbies back. Also, if we do get private lobbies back, can we have the option to put caps on, say, tires and horsepower so drift lobbies don't get immediately ruined by someone who joins in a 1500 horsepower all-wheel drive car with race slicks on it that they count as a drift car? And speaking of restrictions for racing online and rivals, can we add like certain class configurations? Like you can have an all-wheel drive class, a front-wheel drive class, a rear-wheel drive class, maybe one with like no adjustable aero. Just little things like that to add more diversity to racing online and rivals. Also, another online aspect I think completely got ruined in Horizon 5 being the clubs, because there is no reason clubs can be filled with people who have never even touched a game. They need to return to being an in-game feature, not just something off the Xbox. But then when it comes to the festival playlist, I think they need to completely rework it to make it more challenging and engaging if they're going to keep it. Because at this point, the only difficult thing are the trial events, because you need to spend pretty much the whole race blocking the AI, all just so your teammates can't somehow not pass the AI. Otherwise, every single event on that weekly little checklist of theirs pretty much feels just like doing the same thing over and over and over again. First off, never add vouchers for real money ever again. At this point in the game, you throw so much money at cars at us, they don't even make sense to have. And also, what's the point of player level prestige? It doesn't really do anything, so why is it even there? Also, I would like the option to just block gift drops. I really don't want other people's garbage, so if I could just block that notification, that would be great. Playground games. Please try to make the next game for the people who will actually be playing it, because man, Game Pass has really fucked the last 2 games. Having to be made for everyone rather than the people who you actually know will play the game for more than 30 minutes before uninstalling it. Also, please launch the next game in a working state and don't ignore blatant problems, because there are so many forum posts where you have them labeled basically saying, oh sorry, that problem exists and we acknowledge it. However, we aren't going to be fixing it. Post closed. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's all for today. See ya.